Hi, this is Steve Yee, Director of Product Management for SQL Azure. In this walkthrough, we're going to review some of the different tools and techniques that are available to interact with and query a SQL Azure database. In our first walkthrough, we went through the entire sign-up process of selecting an offer, signing up for an account, and creating our first database in the SQL Azure Developer Portal. If you haven't already, sign up and create a SQL Azure database. First, we'll explore the administration features of the Windows Azure Developer Portal that can perform basic querying and table design tasks for your SQL Azure database. Next, we'll write TSQL code to create tables, populate them with data, and then perform some basic TSQL queries. Lastly, we'll download and install a free tool for database management using the Microsoft Web Platform installer called SQL Server Management Studio Express that can be used to interact with both SQL Azure and on-premises SQL Server databases. I'm going to open my browser and go to the Windows Azure Developer Portal at https://windows.azure.com. Let's select Database in the bottom left and then locate our database firstdb in the tree at the top left. And I've already entered the firewall settings to access this database from my machine. The quickest and simplest way to administer your database is to select it in the tree on the left and click the Manage button at the top. This will load the portal's database manager, which allows developers and administrators to quickly author and execute queries, as well as build and design database objects. Once logged in, you can see at the left that I currently have no tables, views, or stored procedures. By pressing New Query at the top, we are taken to a text window where we can write TSQL queries and view the results. For now, let's close that window and look at some other features. Let's create two tables to store information on people and the cars they drive. Let's use the Table Designer features to create our first table, Person. Click New Table and you will see a window open with the Table Designer and a few fields already added. Let's rename the table and the field to include a first name, last name, age, and an identity column called Person ID as the primary key. Once we fill in the definition for our table, we can select Save at the top and our table is created. Alternatively, we can use the query window to execute TSQL commands. Switch back to the Database tab again by clicking in the upper left. This time we select New Query and type out our TSQL command. Let's create a second table called Car, which contains the make, model, and year, as well as a foreign key called Person ID, identifying who the owner is in the person table. This time I press Execute instead of Save. For the query window, pressing Save allows me to save the text I've typed. This is useful for a script that may need to be run again later. We now have tabs for the various actions we've performed. I can switch back to the person table definition by selecting its tab. It displays the same designer window we saw before. I can switch to the data view by clicking the button at the top. It will show me the rows in the table, however right now it's empty. So let's add some rows into the person table using the tool. Click Add Row and enter the values as shown. Once again, I press Save to create the records. I can also switch back to my query window and type out TSQL commands to populate the car table with insert statements. This time I press Execute and the rows are created. And let's write a select statement to verify our data is in the database. In order to view the results, you may need to select the Results tab at the bottom. This just touches the surface of all you can do with the portal and the TSQL language, but let's take a look at another option for querying data in SQL Azure. Another option for accessing SQL Azure databases is to use Microsoft SQL Server 2008 R2 Management Studio, or SSMS for short. SSMS comes with SQL Server and can be used to connect to both on-premises and SQL Azure Cloud databases. Visual Studio's Server Explorer can also be used to connect and administer on-premises or SQL Azure Cloud databases. If you already have Visual Studio or SQL Server Management Studio, you're already good to go. If you don't have these tools, you can install a free version by using the Web Platform Installer. Go to the URL on your screen and select Download it now. After installation, it will automatically launch the Web Platform Installer, which can download and install free tools to quickly get you started. Click the Web Platform tab at the left, and under the Database category, select Customize. Check the box next to SQL Server 2008 R2 Management Studio Express. After you've selected it, click Install, which will take you to the confirmation screen. Select I accept to download and install the tool. After installation, a new folder has been created in the Start menu for SQL Server 2008 R2. When you open SQL Server Management Studio, the connection dialog may be presented automatically. If it is not displayed, click on Connect in the upper left and select Database Engine. In the connection dialog, select SQL Authentication in the drop-down and populate the server name, login, and password with the information provided in the SQL Azure Developer Portal for your database. The server name must be the fully qualified domain name and will contain a unique value followed by .database.windows.net. The login and password are the values you chose when you created the server and database. After you have connected, you'll notice that FirstDB shows up in your list of databases in the tree and in the upper left. Right-click on it and select New Query. In this query, we'll join the car and person table to see who drives what car. You can see the result come back just like any on-premises SQL Server query. In the next code demo, we take this query and make it a store procedure by decorating it with the Create Stored Procedure clauses for TSQL. So there you have it. Anyone who currently uses SSMS will be able to work seamlessly with SQL Azure. We've covered the basic steps to connect and query a SQL Azure database. First, we use the database management features of the Windows Azure Platform Developer Portal to create tables, insert and query data, using both the design tools and with TSQL commands. We also looked at how to use the Web Platform Installer to install and use SQL Server Management Studio, or SSMS. You may notice that in SSMS that not all the features that work with on-premises SQL Server are enabled for SQL Azure. We're working on this and expect improvements in upcoming service and software releases. In subsequent walkthroughs, we'll cover more advanced topics, such as connecting SQL Azure databases to web applications using the .NET framework.